Hi, welcome to Catholic Nest. So I wanted to share a couple of resources that we use for CVCs. Now I did a previous video on homemade games and resources. I didn't include these as they're one of our most used ones with every single child, and I thought they deserved a bit more airtime with what I was showing in this video. So these printables are from Absorbent Minds Montessori, and if you know anything about Montessori, you'll know they have like a pink, blue and green language series, pink being the easiest, and then going to blue and then to green. So they have PDFs you can print off on their website, and you can buy them hard copies if you want to in physical form, but it's obviously much cheaper with PDF. So you just need pink, blue and green printing paper, and I've just stuck them out and laminated them on those. So the idea with these is that they read the word and then they would find the matching picture to go with it, like cat and cat. So my 5-year-old's doing these at the moment and she's really enjoying them, and they're just CVCs, and they have the colour code of blue vowels and red consonants, which carries through all the Montessori language materials. So you can also buy now things like magnetic letters that adhere to that colour coding of red consonants, blue vowels, and you can buy their movable alphabet. But you can also make those really cheaply with craft letters if you feel that you needed them. So you can use these as a bit of a matching game. But what I do use these a lot. I also made them into games. So there's, again, I've just laminated the pictures onto A4 paper, stuck Velcro dots on, and then laminated the words separately with Velcro dots on. And so they'd do like one sheet at a time, and they'd have the little words in a bowl, and then they would read them and they'd match them on. So with the CVCs, they're kind of any old how, but with the other ones, when they've got the double sounds, with the later ones, I've kind of made them by sound. So they also do sentences that you can print off from there as well. So I've made some sentence ones as well as they get better with the reading. So after the pink series comes the blue series, which is a lot of CVC words. So they do introduce some double sounds in this series, like ch. So I'd put all the ch ones on one sheet so they can practice that sound. And I've done the sentences as well for those. But there's and the sh sound. So there's kind of like a progression through them. Once they get really comfortable with the pink ones, you can move to the blue series, and then finally the green series. They're usually getting a lot slicker with their reading by this point. And there's loads of these. So I've done them by sound. I've got magic E, LE at the end of words, ER, OR, AR, one's come off. So I particularly find these really useful to use alongside these Jolly Phonics Read and See books. So these are a little pricey, but we've really used them and made it worth the price for us. So there's 2 packs. I think they're about £20 for a pack. So if you, it's worth thinking about whether you could use them before you buy them. And if you have several children to use them with, obviously it makes it worth it. I did buy it with my first. I've used it with each child. And then there's pack 2, which is sounds. So it'd work like this. So there's just one word, and then they get the fun of revealing whether they got it right by lifting the little flap. So these are really nice when they're just doing CVCs. and then they get a little harder as they go along. Start doing ones they can still sound out, but with double CVCs. It tells you on the side where they come in the series. And they do cover some of the double sounds like CK. So there's not many in the book, which makes it not too overwhelming. So they're really handy, and sometimes pair them with the pink series. But most of all, we use the second series and pair them with the game. So, for example, they're practicing the owl word, they do the owl game and then do the owl book. It's kind of extra practice. And they also do green lists with particular sounds, which I've got somewhere. Let me see if I can find them. So they also do word lists by sound as well, so you could pair all these together. And they do them for blue, pink and green series words. So we've used them a bit over the years too. So that's how I tend to use them with the children. And then as they get better and they're just practicing, I would put 2 games out with 2 of the matching books. Then put both the games' words in a bowl and mix them up, and they'd have to work out, differentiate between the 2 sounds. And they usually enjoy these. It doesn't feel as dry as if they were just doing the word list or something like that. So it's nice and keeps their hands busy, and nice pictures to look at and things. So these are probably one of my favourite resources for the sort of progression of learning to read with the sort of phonics in the beginning. Use them with every child, and it's just kind of something we do. Now we do have the Movable Alphabet, which I'll show you. And I brought this when my eldest was small. I brought some Montessori bits from Absorbent Mind Montessori. There wasn't really much on the market for stuff like that, but there's so many cheap alternatives now, and you don't need it. And to be honest, I don't use it that much. It does get used in those early stages of reading, but if I had my time again, I probably wouldn't have bought it because it's not as cost effective. That said, I do still use it, so I don't want to get rid of it. So it is lovely, and you can do some lovely activities with it, but you can get some much cheaper ways of doing it now. You can even buy the wooden craft letters and paint them yourself and put them in a craft box. Excuse the neighbour mowing in the background. So what I do with these when I use them is I'd pair them with these, and you could do this on a whiteboard with some other letters. It wouldn't need to be this set. So I'd either put out different words on here, and they'd find the letters from the box and put them out, and would sound them out. As they get better, I might put the picture on. They'd have to work out how to spell it, and they can put them on there. So this is a green board from Absorbent Mind Montessori's again. As I say, a whiteboard or piece of paper with ruled lines on works just as well. So there's loads of ways you can use these things, and I do think making it hands-on is nice, and having the kind of guide of the pink, blue and the green series of progressing along those. It fits quite nicely with the Jolly Phonics too, which I have a soft spot for. The Jolly Phonics also do workbooks with targeting specific letters, and then they move on to the sounds. So you could also pair these with an activity. What thing I don't like about them so much is they have all these other activities. I wish they were just, for me personally, I just prefer the bit where they do, if you know how Jolly Phonics works, it kind of tags the sound to a picture and an action, which helps them to remember it. So each one has a little story that goes with it, so that helps them to remember. So it would add a little bit of pen control into it as well. So it's just some of the things I use with from CVC through Phonics. So another thing we use from Jolly Phonics is, I think I've shared this one before, is their wall freeze. And we did have it on the wall for a while, but I actually found it more useful just to make it into kind of like a flip thing. So I just got A4 printing paper and cut out the frieze and stuck them to it so they'd all be same size. Laminated them, hole punched them, and we go through the alphabet this way. So most of them have learnt the alphabet with a mixture of this initial Jolly Phonics and a bit of Montessori approach with the 3-part lessons. So they also do a wall frieze for the double sounds, so I've done the same thing with these. Just find them quite useful in that way. Another good resource for CVCs is on Twinkle. They do these, which I've always found very good as a little bit of a worksheet for younger ones. So when they're just starting to sound out CVCs, like my 5-year-old at the moment, we do it together and she'll match the picture. So there's like loads of those on Twinkle. So with my boys, there was a point with my eldest where even the sight of a book would make him get all stressed out. So we just put books away for a while, and I just had a little box with sentences in that I made on the computer, and it was much more achievable and less stressful for him just to have. We did a certain amount of sentences a day, and he'd be able to see where it started and ended, and he knew he was just going to have to do 3 or 4, whatever it was that morning, and we'd slowly sort of build on that. And we just kind of worked on his phonics and the kind of tools of reading, learning his sounds, so that next time he picked up a book it was so much easier, and which did get him there in the end. He's now an avid reader, and I think is reading adequately for his age, if not above. So one more thing we've used is when they get to the end of their towards the end of their reading journey, when they're reading the Biff, Chip and Kip style books. I know some people don't like the reward system thing, but for us it always worked well. So you can buy these little bookmarks, and they just got a little mark every time they finished a book. And when they filled a bookmark, I'd have a little box of prizes or little tickets, or I'll show you. So I sometimes made them with the children. They'd give me ideas. So the tickets would vary depending on what was available. So they could choose a ticket if they got to the end of theirs. So they could things like TV and popcorn, evening bath with music and snacks, an ice cream sundae to make at home. They could have a go on a little game on their tablet. They could have it in bed with a snack or on the sofa. A very rare treat from McDonald's. One of the children drew this, to camp in the garden or in the tent with Dad. Play-Doh, a fun bath with shaving foam or some kind of bath crystals, pancakes for breakfast. I think one of the children drew this as well, bless them. A new CD to listen to in their CD Discman, or one of those popular ones, £3, and the ticket to Poundland, and they could buy 3 things. We've got some chocolate moulds. They get to make their own chocolate bar. I think there's all sorts of ones here. A fun kind of sensory tray, cosy book time with Mum, a fancy drink. We had like a fancy drink maker at the time. So we have like a posh hot chocolate. Game time. Take the scooters to the park. Could have a tea party. Baking, or occasionally a little sweetie cone. So that whatever things that I found appealing at the time, I'd give them a selection. Oh, there's a few others here. I think I've used these for a few different things, and they really enjoyed them. I think there's similar things again. Trip to the sweet shop. McDonald's, a little Lego man, those little bags. I've never used some of these because they're a bit dear. £3 voucher to go to the toy shop. Go out for tea and cake. Cinema. I think some of these were put away because I found the ones that we could do from the cheap just as effective as the ones that cost loads. So that was quite fun for us, rewarding. The reading journey hasn't had any negative effect on reading. They love to read. It's not, I think, people say that reading is its own reward, and it absolutely is when you can read. But I've always found that if a child is finding the reading journey unpleasant, obviously you put it off and you come back to it and all of those things, and you make it as enjoyable as you can. But obviously, I think personally, mine did benefit from having a bit of a reward and something to a goal other than just reading. Once they could read, they've loved it, and reading now is its own reward. But I think some of these little novelty things on the journey made the journey more enjoyable when a child does find it a bit harder. All children are so different. As I said, my 7-year-old practically taught herself to read. I haven't had to use hardly any of these resources with her. But my 5-year-old, I think, is more hands-on and visual, and she'll probably use a lot of the games and things that we have. So it's a part of the joy of home educating, is that you can tailor it to what your children enjoy and what's useful to them. So I thought it'd be useful to share some of those things. A lot of them are thrifty things that are either free or just a couple of pounds. So this website, all the Montessori stuff is from Absorbent Minds Montessori. If you put in PDF in the search thing, it should take you to all their PDFs. Also Montessori Print Shop probably do them as well. And there's loads of Montessori blogs that do loads of the 3-part cards and different things like that, or different PDF things where you can add your own pictures and stuff to them. So there's loads of resources out there if you have a printer. And I'd say definitely worth getting a laminator if you have lots of children and you want to reuse everything. So I hope that's been of some use to somebody. Thank you for watching, and please consider subscribing.